the family in the car. It's that time of year. Wonder and excitement wait at Gillian's Wonderland Pier. Try the roller coaster ride or the giant wheel and touch the sky. Summer days and nights, Wonder Bear will be your guide. Fun for every age and size. Make the summer come alive. Wonder and excitement wait at Gillian's Wonderland Pier. Gillian's Wonderland Pier. Gillian's Wonderland Pier. Gillian's Wonderland Pier.
Now the first thing you want to do when you're changing the shoes is you want to make sure the e-stop is pushed in. You don't want to have the electric on while you're doing this. Trust me, you don't want that. So what you're going to need to change the shoes is you're going to need a couple of screwdrivers right here. In the summertime, every week, these shoes are running in the electric, so they wear down. So right when the metal gets shaved down to that top line there, it's not going to be able to touch the electric anymore, which is why they have to be changed. So that's what we're doing here. So we're going to change these guys and put in the new ones. You can tell this one's brand new. Pry it out. And it comes right out. Now this one is a Phillips head. And this nut right here, guard that with your life. Because if you lose it, you're gonna have to go back down to the maintenance shop and find another one. The one thing you wanna make sure of is when you're doing this, I really should be wearing gloves. You have to wear gloves when you're doing this because I did this once with my bare hands and I spliced my thumb right on this metal. All right, and you'll hear a little click in there. Once it's clicked in, it's ready to go back on the train. So once you have that done, pull the bracket back down, pop it back in, make sure it's in properly. And you'll see how it fits right on here? You want that. So once it's back in on both sides, you're then gonna wanna put it back into the electric. Now this is in the front, so this one goes on this rail. The back shoe for this train goes on that rail, okay? You wanna make sure they're in the right one. Okay, and that's it. That's how you do it. 19 more shoes to go. It's been sitting there that long.
Just time to buy a roller coaster, and that was the one that we got.
CityJet was here when I got here. I believe it got here a year, maybe 2 years. I think it was the year before I got here. It was nice to see Ocean City stepping up a little bit and getting into the roller coaster game or the adult entertainment game. As the CityJet ran, it roared throughout the city. I lived at 3rd Street at the time, so I was a good 3 blocks away, and I could hear it from my house as it roared through the tracks and hit the clack, 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 clack. another Ferris wheel, but the cars were more of a cage, and the cars rotated. So you were essentially locked in the cage and had the option of spinning the cars yourself or just rotating around. However, if you didn't spin the car, you were going upside down anyway, just the way the ride ran. But that was a very popular ride here for years.
It was over in Atlantic City on the pier over there, and it was close to home. And when we got it over here, we had it right next to the ramp coming up in a spot there.
Some of these rides come in, they're called either portable or park model. A portable ride generally has a trailer on it, and they're the ones you see us moving from place to place to place. It may work well inside one year, and we say, let's take it to the upper deck, the fun deck, or let's take it to the lower lot. They're the portable rides, which are fairly easy to move. The park model rides, some of them have a foundation underneath, they're bolted to the ground, much more difficult to move. So those ones, like the Galleon, generally would stay there forever. At the time Gillian was running the park, I believe it was the early 80s we got it. I'll say, probably mid-80s, maybe around 85.
Well, the Galleon came first, and I even put the foundation in on that.
He brought that ride in, helped us assemble it, showed us the operation of the ride and the maintenance of the ride. It's been here ever since. At one point, the swing ride operated from the inside. We felt it was better. I think with us, in cooperation with the state who inspects our rides and controls the operation of our rides at times, they came in and we talked with them and felt it was better if we could control the crowd and the lines better if the person was on the outside.
I started working at Wonderland in the summer of 1995, and feels like centuries ago because I had so many great memories here. Made a lot of friends here, a lot of great friends here, and do miss it. I started out as a ride operator when I first started, and the first ride I ever learned was the bumper boats, the old bumper boats, and I say that because they were gas-powered bumper boats. You really had to hustle up and down the platform. You could not be afraid to get wet. You could not be afraid to jump in the pool if need be to rescue a child. Also, you had to also make sure that every child, yes, they have to be a certain height, but you never know how old they are. So if they're very young, you got to make sure you teach them how to drive the boats, because it can be a little tricky sometimes. We had a lot of what we called ride teams. So we had specific operators for some of the specific big rides, which we sure still have today. But my third year, I was on the team for the CityJet roller coaster. And that is the only ride I did for the entire summer. And then my fourth year, and then for the next 10 seasons, I was the giant wheel operator. It probably had about twice as many steps to operating the ride than the one that is now here at Wonderland. The old ride, unlike this one, had an air brake where you actually had to pump the brake. You had to stop it. You had to know exactly where to stop it. When the state of New Jersey started requiring foot pedals to be used on rides for safety purposes, that was one more step. You put your foot in the pedal, take the brake off, press start, and then when you wanted to stop, you couldn't just take your foot out of the pedal. You actually had to physically press stop, keep your foot on the pedal, and pump the air brake for it to stop. Never worked the SkyDiver. Rode it a few times. A lot of fun. I know there were some guys that worked here that loved operating that ride.
We used to tear apart as much as humanly possible and bring it inside the building, and just to get it out of that salt air and out of the damp, cold environment. We took the SkyDiver probably 2/3 of the way down. I forget, I believe it was a 60-foot circle or so. We would break it down to, say, a 30-foot circle and take off the cars. But that ride was a portable ride, so it came on a trailer. So there were some years, probably every third or fourth year, we would break it completely down. It's a challenge being here on the Jersey Shore. This is probably as bad of an environment as you're going to find for steel. We're constantly scraping and painting.
The ride just got so old. It hung in there for a long time. It really did. It was a great ride. I remember asking our general manager, Bud Clerkin, about that, if there was anything new going on at the park. And he said, "Oh, we're taking down the city jet."
The City Jet coaster. That was my first roller coaster I ever went on.
It was pretty much an institution. It was a staple here at this park. But hey, it's true of all rides. You can try and maintain it for as long as you can.
That was getting to a point where the corrosion was getting to it, and it was time to upgrade. It ended up in, I believe, Kansas. Someone bought it from us with the intentions of rehabbing the ride, redoing it, salvaging it as a roller coaster, but I don't believe they ever followed through with the project. It would have been a big project at that point, because we had to cut it apart at the time to get it down. We had welded some of the areas which were bolted together. We had welded together as well as bolted. So when it was time to take it down, it came apart in pieces. We cut it apart as carefully as possible, knowing their intentions were to rebuild it as a roller coaster. But in order to do so, it would have been quite a project to get it up and running again.